Welcome on everybody. Great to see all of you on here as we're getting ready to get started here. We are going to be going over compensation plan. One of my favorite things, but not everybody's favorite thing. And here's what's super cool is that you don't have to know these details to make a ridiculous amount of money. I was just talking to a friend this morning, made almost 100 Ethereum, doesn't know any of this stuff we're going to cover at all. All he does is keep referring people in. But we're going to cover X3, X4, and xGold in-depth compensation plan. So all of you out there, we'd love to hear from you. Let us know your name, where you're zooming in from, and then we'll get started.
Tony from Twin Falls, Idaho.
What's up, Tony?
Susan Wash, South Carolina.
Susanna, Yardley, Pennsylvania.
California.
Elliot from Texas.
JP, California.
This is Terry, South Carolina.
JP,
David McDaniel, Plainfield, New Jersey.
Gary from Medford, Oregon.
Gary,
Richard Williams, Trenton, Texas. Dean Ebbs, Oregon.
Dean, welcome
Marianne
on.
Garuda, Kamloops, BC.
Welcome on, Marianne.
CC Perkins, Utah.
Welcome on, CC.
John Melcher, Rio Rancho, New Mexico.
John, Kim.
Louisiana, Keith Lewis.
Hey, Kim.
From Oregon.
Hey, John.
Oregon. John, Valerie.
Jacksonville, Florida.
Laura from Minnesota.
Welcome on. All right, we have 10 seconds. Everybody go at the same time. Go.
Tony,
Cleveland.
Sally, Orlando.
Bend, Oregon.
Yay, Vancouver Island.
Alberta, Canada.
Awesome, guys. Love it. So we're going to flip this thing over to Mike Klingler, bring him on, and he's going to bring this thing home. So welcome on, everybody.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it. And yeah, let's get this party started. Today, we're talking about the compensation plan. As Jason said, when he came up here, just want to open up, here we go. You don't need to know all of this. I didn't know how the compensation plan worked other than just really basic when I got started. And as a lot of you know, I'm now up to, I have 6 family accounts now. I don't suggest that you start out that many. I started with 3 family accounts, and between them now, between the 6 family accounts, over 800 Ethereum in 3 months. Obviously, that's not something that a result that everybody is going to see, but it's not something I expected either. And we're seeing a lot of people come in and really do much better than they thought. And very few people understand the compensation 100%. I certainly did it. I learned as I went along, but it is helpful to have a little bit of knowledge about it and feel that confidence that you see how it's going to kind of play out. We're also going to get a little bit into strategy today. So we'll talk about X3, X4, xGold, and strategy. And I'll share with you, what I did when I first started out that created a lot of momentum, but I'll also share what I learned as things kind of unfolded. And I started to see how things kind of played out. And I think that will be helpful. And we'll have a really open discussion. I'm just going to start. I'm going to go ahead and close that. And I'm just going to start by looking inside the Forsage site. Then we'll look at some slides. So I'm going to go over it really quickly, the way that I would share it with somebody who's brand new, who hasn't seen this before. And then we'll go through it again with slides, and we might look at a little bit more nuance. And so when we get into the nuance, if you get a little lost in the nuance, just remember the part that I'm sharing, because this is actually pretty simple. And this is really how I think of it. And I keep it pretty simple for myself. So the X3 is basically upfront cash flow. X3 is fast, and I consider, when I say cash flow, I'm talking about Ethereum, obviously. But, the payments are paying very quickly, and they're paying 100% commissions. By the way, a little side note, I think of the Forsage system as MLM software, and you're your own MLM company, because Forsage doesn't touch the money. They don't process the money. It's basically just, you owning an MLM company. And a lot of people don't think of it that way, but it's exactly what it is. And if you wanted to, you could even provide additional value when people purchase these levels. And a lot of you know I'm creating products that you guys can also offer when people purchase these levels. It's your own MLM software company. It's pretty cool. The first payment pays you 100%. This is how simple I do it. X3, first payment right here, this first circle pays you 100% commissions. Second payment on your front level pays you 100% commissions also. Pretty cool. That's what we mean by immediate cash injection in Ethereum. Third payment rolls upline. Why is that good? Because as your team's growing, your team's third payment's going to roll upline to you. That's what we call leveraged income, where you have the little bit of the advantage of a residual income, or you could think of it as leveraged income. You'll hear me refer to it as leveraged income a lot, where you might be asleep or doing something else, but you're building a sales organization and you're helping your team. You're teaching them things, you're working with them. So when they go and they have success, their third payment rolls up to you. And then it does what we call recycles. And I don't know if you can see this, try to look closely. It says 4 right here. 4 recycles is what that means. It means it paid me a first payment, 100% commissions, a second payment, 100% commissions, third payment rolled upline, and then it does it again, it cycles. So that would be cycle 1, and it comes back around. Next payment, 100% commissions, next payment, 100% commissions, next payment, which is the 6th payment, cycles. Then this turns into the number 2, does it again. Next payment, 100% commissions, next payment, 100% commissions, then it cycles. Also notice when you're in your back office, you can click on this. Watch what I do. I'm going to click on this and it's going to show me exactly all these payments. And it's going to show me the little cycles. You see this where it says reopen? That's that third payment and it keeps doing it, right? So this was the first payment, shows the date and everything. And it shows how much you got. That's down here. You see my cursor? And then the second payment, that second circle, that's right here, paid me 100% commissions on level 1. And then that third payment recycled. That's why it shows this little cycle sign over here. And it says reopen, then it does it again. So pretty simple. X3 is really, really simple. And and just remember, you're only going to get paid up to the level you're at. So if you're only at level 1 and you bring in somebody that goes to level 2, level 2 is going to roll up past you to your upline. So that's something to remember. But assuming you're at the same level, you're going to get paid 100% commissions on the first payment circle, 100% commissions on the second payment circle. Third payment circle goes up to your upline, then it just recycles again and again and again. And you'll notice, like if I come down here to, let's say, you'll see even position 11 has cycled once. Position 8 has cycled 2 times. Let's look at position 8. I'll click on that, shows the transactions. So it showed I got the first payment here, 100% commissions, second payment, 100% commissions, third payment recycled, then it did it again. So it's cycled twice now. And you can see it cycled twice because here in position 8, it shows the number 2. So that's X3, extremely simple, pays upfront cash flow, pays immediate 100% commissions on the first 2 payments. Third payment rolls up, then it recycles. Super, super simple. X4 is a little bit more comprehensive, but not too much. There are some nuances that we're going to get into with Jeremy, who's more of a whiz than I am, that can explain some of these things. I just want to do the simple one. And remember, some of the things that Jeremy goes over, like I still have trouble wrapping my head around. There are little nuances, but this is the part that I grabbed onto. It's simple. It's really all you need to know to make a lot of Ethereum. X4 still pays a lot up front, but there is a little bit more of delayed gratification for leveraged income. So a little bit more leveraged income built in, where you're able to leverage the efforts of your team and the sales organization. So first payment circle right here at the top is your first level in the X4, right? You don't get any of that. So that's different than the X3, isn't it? That's what I mean by delayed gratification. Now, the upside of that is you have more payment circles on the second level you get paid on. Remember, in the X3, you don't get paid on the second level. In the X4, you get paid on the second level. That's what I mean by leveraged income, because you can leverage the efforts of others and you can make income from your team sales. So it's a good thing that that first payment doesn't go to you. It allows you to be able to earn leveraged income as well as your team grows. That first payment right here, you get no commissions. That rolls upline. And then this other circle here is also your first level, isn't it? That also rolls upline. but your second level is where you get paid. And that first payment circle on your second level right here you get 100% commissions in the X4.
Hey, Mike, sorry to interrupt. Would you mind making Jason and I co-hosts so we can add people?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry.
Okay, everyone, listen to the nice little music playing. Intermission.
Do, 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 do,
I'm going to admit, everybody, we got more people wanting to come in too. It's probably what you wanted to do, huh? So it's going to be a little, I'm trying to find you guys. So many people still coming in. And I'm not actually seeing you guys in here for some reason. Oh, there we go. So, Jason, I'm making you a co-host. And Jeremy, I'm looking for you. There you are. Thank you. Are you a co-host, Jason?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome. And Jeremy, you should be co-host too. Okay, thanks, guys. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, there's lots of people still coming in, so I'll let you guys admit them in. So X4 second level, we're talking about that's where you get paid. You know, so 100% commissions on the second level with the first circle, 100% commissions on the second level, second circle, 100% commission. So here's the leveraged income. Like now the third payment, right? Because the second level, there's more payment opportunities than if it was just your first level. So third circle, you're getting 100% commissions. But then here's the something to remember, that last fourth payment on your second level, that rolls up line. Okay, so again, front level, first level, that rolls up line. You don't get paid on that. That allows you to earn a higher or more. Did someone want to say something? Jeremy?
No, you're good.
Okay.
We were failing our muting duties.
Gotcha. So second level is where you get paid 100% commissions on the first payment. And I'm talking about the second level, 100% commissions on the second payment, 100% commissions on the third payment, leveraged income. There's more payments there than the X3. But then that last payment, that fourth payment circle on the second level, that rolls up line, leveraged income. You like that because as your team's growing, those are rolling up to you. That's leveraged income. You like that. Just remember, just like the X3, you have to be at that level to get paid on it. So if you're at level 5 in the X4 and somebody in your team comes in at level 6 in the X4, that level 6 payment, which is 0.8 ETH, will roll past you to the next person who's at level 6 in the X4. But, pretty simple. It really is. I know there's some nuances. The X4 can do some tricky things as your team grows, where the payment circles go. And Jeremy is going to do his best to explain those nuances. But I didn't understand any more than this to do extraordinarily well. Again, all of my family accounts that I set up, because I don't need any more ETH. So now I'm just like helping my family out. How many of you would like to help your family out? How many of you would like to have so much ETH that you just want to help your family? The people who really need it, you really want to help them. I've got family accounts now that have made over 800 ETH. I didn't understand any more than what I just shared with you. I'm going to go for it one more time. X4, you don't get paid on the first level. That rolls up line. You like that because as your team gets going, that rolls up to you. Your first level, you don't make anything in the X4. It's your second level that you make 100% commissions on the first payment, 100% commissions on the second payment on your second level, 100% commissions on the third payment on your second level. Fourth payment rolls up and then it recycles and it starts all over again. So this happens over and over again, just like I was talking about in the X3. So see how this says 3 right here under recycles? I know it might be small on your screen, especially if you're on an iPhone, but this says 3. That means it recycled 3 times. So if I click on this, you'll get to see all the transactions and it shows that. Look at all those transactions. It shows, that down here, that first circle, this was my front level. It says higher because it means I didn't get paid on it. It means it shared that higher. It paid that up line. Second one was on my front level. I didn't get paid on that. It paid it up line. That's why it says higher. But then now you see the next 3, right? Remember I told you on the second level, you get paid on those next 3. That's what these are. And then that last one, that fourth one on the second level, it says reopen because that went above and then it recycled. So check it out. This was the first level again, second level, first level on the second leg again, and then it does it again. It pays me those 3 times. Then it just keeps doing it over and over and over again. X4 really isn't that complicated in its most basic. I mean, really, that's all you need to know. And we'll go into more nuances. And as your group grows, it can be kind of tricky because payments are rolling up, you know, and it starts to change where payments fall in the X4. And when Jeremy goes over some of that, it may lose some of you. Just realize I don't know much of that either. And I certainly didn't know any of it when I first got started. So really all you need to know about the X4 if you're just starting out is what I just shared. We will go into more details today, more advanced stuff, but that really is all you need to know to do really well with this. Now let's talk about the xGold. So xGold is for the most leveraged income. It pays less upfront, which is delayed gratification. X3 is the most instant gratification. X4 was a slight delayed gratification, but still paid pretty fast. This one is the most delayed. Now, whenever you have delayed gratification in a compensation plan, it opens you up to make the most money as your team grows. So how many of you have heard of the marshmallow test? They put some kids in a little laboratory and they put they put one marshmallow in front of them. And they studied how long would it take for them to eat that marshmallow. And they told them, I can't remember what it was. Some people remember if they didn't eat the marshmallow for an hour, they'd get a second marshmallow or something like that. And some of the kids would eat the marshmallow right away. My son would eat it immediately. I can tell you that right now. And then my daughter would probably never eat the marshmallow and she would just be accumulating marshmallows. These types of comp plans that have delayed gratification pay really big to those who can work them and let their team unfold. So we're really excited about this one. We don't lead with it because we know that most of the people out there have very little ability for delayed gratification. It's just human nature. And so we lead with the X3 and X4. We'll talk about strategy a little bit later. That allows people to get an immediate Ethereum, hit. And then the xGold is after they come in, we share with them, hey, if you want to work with us as a team, if you really want to build this big, if you want to have that leveraged income, that's when, we introduce them to this. And so I love this. It really rewards those doing the team building strategy. And it has a lot of payments. So here's how it works. Front level doesn't pay anything. Rolls up line. Second level, you see there's 4 payments here, right? On that second level. That pays 20%. So notice in the X3 and X4, it paid 100% when it paid out a payment. Here it's paying 20%. What's that allow? It allows it to pay more payments to more people. Here's what we mean. Now it can pay on the 3rd level and the 4th level. And this is what we mean by delayed gratification. If it paid 100% on the 2nd level, like X4 does, there wouldn't be any left to pay. But by only paying 20% on the 2nd level, not as much of an instant hit, but the advantage is now it can pay more, 30% again on the 3rd level, 30% it also pays on the 3rd level, and look at all these payment circles. And then that last level, 4th level, lots of payment circles, paying 50%, 50%. And so this allows it to pay a lot more people, not 100% commissions like X3 and X4, but because it breaks it up into 20% on the 2nd level, 30% on the 3rd level, 50% on the 4th level, it allows it to pay a lot more people, hit a lot more people's telegram, saying, hey, you got a payment. And as your group grows and these payment circles fill in, you have the potential to make a lot more money. Because look at that last level, 50%, 50%, 50%, 50%. That's a lot of Ethereum that's starting to come in. And if we scroll down here, for example, to like my position, let's look at this family position 8. So look at all this, you can come down here again and see, how all this is set up. So you see activation, the first 2 is higher. That's the top level, right? The top level rolls up line. And then you see how these start to fill in. And then this one, it's not always 100% commission. So you're going to see different amounts depending on if they fell on the 2nd level, the 3rd level, or the 4th level, because you're getting either 20% on the 2nd level, 30% on the third level and 50% on the fourth level. And so this allowed, by splitting up that commissions and not paying 100% commissions, it's true, it's less of an instant hit, but it allows you to, as your team's growing, to earn more leveraged income. So it's still pretty simple. The one thing to remember though is this cycles as well. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jeremy, but I believe it's the last two payment circles roll up line on that last level, the last two payment circles. Is that correct, Jeremy?
Yeah, whichever last two fill in, it rolls
So the
up.
last two, yeah, to fill in on the bottom. So let's look at one that's almost filled in. And I know this is small, guys. We'll go over this again. I wanted to give you the quick look. So you see on this one, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left on the bottom. So I get 3 more payments. And then those last 2 that come in will roll up line. And then this recycles. So to do it all over again. And you'll see some of these have already recycled. Level 1 is recycled. Level 6 is recycled. And that means this is already filled in and now it's doing it again. So this is the second time. If I click this down arrow here, it'll show how they all filled in before. So this one already filled in. And this is pretty powerful because this is 10x, meaning like level 6, for example, level 6 costs, what's it cost, Jeremy? Do you remember off the top of your head what it costs to buy into level 6 in the xGold?
No, I don't remember off the top of my head.
Whatever it is, just remember in xGold, whatever it costs to buy into a level, when this fills in, you earn over 10 times that amount back. And I want to say, guys, don't think of it as an investment. Don't think of it as I'm going to buy level 6 and go on vacation and come back and get rich. Obviously, if you're on a productive team and your team's pulling all the weight, you could over leverage your team that way, but don't think of it that way. This isn't an investment. This is the team working together, you contributing to your team to make these sales. So xGold is pretty simple. It's really powerful. It pays a lot of leveraged income by splitting up that 100% commissions. It allows for a lot more to be paid out as your team's growing and these payment circles are filling in. X3 and X4 pay a lot more upfront. X3 paying the most upfront, but offering the least leveraged income. X4 paying still quite a bit upfront with a little bit of leveraged income. xGold paying the most leveraged income for the greatest opportunity for the largest payments to be made as your team starts to develop and these payment circles fill in, but it doesn't pay as much upfront. So we'll talk more about strategy later today and why we lead with X3 and X4, but why that doesn't mean we leave behind xGold. We absolutely do not. We'll share with you how we incorporate all of those and what our emphasis is, and we'll talk more strategy a little bit later today. So I'm going to go ahead and open up some slides, and this will be a little redundant, but purposefully, because we wanted to make sure that we hit this from different angles and that we had this encapsulated on a webinar that we could refer to the replay on and just make sure that everybody had what they needed to understand the compensation plan inside and out. We'll even open this up to a Q&A session when we're done today. So I'm going to hand this slide over to Jeremy, and then, and I might reiterate a couple things, and we'll go on to X4 and Jeremy will dive into that. And then we'll go into xGold again for Jeremy to hit everything that he thinks I might have missed. And maybe just to touch upon it one more time from the way he explains it, because that might hit you a little bit differently. Are you there, Jeremy?
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. Okay. So are you able to see my screen?
Are we on your screen now?
Yeah. It looks the same as yours. So
can you guys see Jeremy's screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah, so I know some people came on the call a little bit late and wanted a reiteration of how the X3 works. So you're just in time because now we get to reiterate a little bit about how it works. So the X3, like Mike was explaining, is very simple, but there are multiple ways that you can get paid on it. So if we start getting into a little bit more of the details, what I'll do is I'll share the different ways that you can possibly get paid in X3. So the first way is that you personally make a sale. So when you personally make a sale to one of the partners, and what that means is somebody who came in using your affiliate ID. So they came in under you as a direct partner. When they purchase a level that you already own, that's considered you making a sale, and you'll collect on that. So the second way is if your partner upgrades. So I hear a lot of people talking about, you know, this being some sort of a pyramid where you have to keep recruiting people to make any money. And technically that's not true. We do have repeat sales in this business, just like we do in other businesses. And that comes from those who are already on your team upgrading to another level. So when somebody upgrades from level 1 to level 2, that is a new sale that is coming to you. So that will hit you. And as long as you have that level, you're going to collect that sale. The third way is when your partner cycles. So Mike talked about cycling is when that third circle fills in. At the point where the third circle fills in, that payment goes upline. So like he said, if somebody on your team cycles, that's why we like those payments going upline. That means that you're going to collect that payment as long as it's your partner, or, you know, if multiple people cycle, then that can be, you know, coming up to you as well. And then the fourth way is when a sale is made of a higher level than somebody on your team has reached at that point. So if you look at the payment circles being, you know, the top one is you and there's only 3 circles to fill in. So like Mike said, those first payments come in as 100% to you. So no matter which way it comes, those 4 different methods of collecting an X3 payment, those will land up in your payment circles. So always keep in mind that this chart does not represent people that you've sponsored. This chart represents those payments in whatever way they happen to come to you. So when that first circle fills in, you get 100%. When that second circle fills in, you get 100%. When the third circle fills in, that goes to an upline. So now if a person on your team, one of your partners, cycles and it comes to you, then that will fill in one of your circles. So you may end up having multiple payment circles filled in from the same person if they're a very active team member and they cycle multiple times. You could end up filling all of your payment circles multiple times from that same very, you know, active teammate on your team. And I'll show a quick example of, on my chart, you can see how there are occasionally these pink or purple circles that get filled in. Those are the ones that are coming from somebody in your team who has not yet purchased that level. So the payment came up to you from deeper within your team. So I just wanted to point out that there are different colors. And when we get to the X4, you'll see there's a lighter circle, darker circles, and then blue circles. So those just represent a little bit at a glance where those are coming from, but you won't see as many colors in your X3. It's a little bit more concise because there's not what we call, you know, spillover in the X3. So we'll talk about what spillover means as we get into the other areas, but you will occasionally see those pink circles if somebody on your team passes another person. Well, what does pass mean? That means, so in this case, I do not have level 12 activated. So if somebody on my team at this point, anywhere within the team, were to buy in at level 12, I would miss that payment and it would show up on somebody above me as a pink circle. So what that means on my chart is there were a few times where somebody bought to, you know, level 7, 9, and 10 in these cases faster than their sponsor did, and those payments came up to me. So I just wanted to show how it looked in the background for the case where a sale is made of a higher level than your team has reached so far. That's what that means. That's how you know, is that you'll see one of those. Should we stop for questions or go straight through, Mike?
I think I would encourage everybody to write down your questions if you have any right now. We continue to cover everything because otherwise we won't be able to see where we're at in the process with the time. So that would be my recommendation, is if you have any questions on what he's covered so far or one that you had in mind, write it down and we're going to have a Q&A at the end of this, but I think we better try to get through them all.
Okay, sounds good. So now talking about X4, I know this chart looks a little bit more complicated, but it's because of the different ways that the payments will go. So those first two payments, when Mike went over this, he mentioned that you do not collect on your top level. Those top level payments do not go to you even though your circles are filled in. They will go to somebody upline. And the same is true, and we always show the bottom right corner as the one that's going to the sponsor, but it's whichever one fills in last, because these don't always just fill in left to right and then left to right or anything like that. So they can be filled in at any point in time. It's whichever the final circle is that's filled in on the bottom is the one that will end up going to your sponsor.
I'm in a zone.
The other three, so the first three circles that you fill in on your second row will pay you 100%. So by the time you fill in one cycle, you'll have earned 3 times the money that slot cost you to purchase. So one of the other symbols on here is I use this lock symbol just to represent what you need in order to upgrade to the next slot. So each slot costs twice as much as the one before it. So if you get slot 1 on the X4 filled in, which is 0.025 Ethereum, at the point where you collect 2 of the circles on your bottom row, you've now earned enough to go to slot 2, which is 0.05. So 2 payments, 200% of 0.025 would be 0.05 Ethereum. So in that case, you have enough to now purchase the next level, which would be slot 2, because the next slot is 0.05. And then to go from 2 to 3, you'll collect 2.05 payments, and that's enough to have 0.1, which is enough to go to level 3. So that's what these symbols represent, is that with just 2 payments, you're able to now level up to the next level. That third payment, put a little wallet symbol here, that's profit, right? Every time you get a third symbol filled in on the bottom row, that's not needed to upgrade, so that's just profit. And then the fourth one, like we talked about, will go to a sponsor, which will cycle. And that's listed different than upline because of the idea of spillover. There are times where when you either initially come in, you may land on somebody other than your sponsor's chart. Say, for example, they're not at that level of X4 yet, but you've grown faster than them and you buy into level 3 and they're still a level 2. At that point, your level 3 payment would go to their upline. So you'll end up on that person's payment circles until you cycle. So now when your sponsor purchases level 3, they're now able to capture that payment. So when you cycle, they get a chance to catch your next payment at that point. So that's why it's listed a little bit differently, is because of the idea that an X4 payment can bounce. So now the next thing to keep in mind is, like we mentioned with the X3, these are payments, not people. It is possible for literally all 6 of these circles to be filled in by the same very, very active team member. So it's not a bad thing to have a person who's growing really fast on your team, even if they pass you up in slots or levels, whatever you want to call them, because when they cycle, they do come back to you and you do collect a payment at the level that you are purchased up to at that point. So the next thing to think about there is, because it's not based upon the people, let's talk about a simple scenario where, you know, you've sponsored a few people and they've sponsored a few people. Okay. When the purchase is made, part of this chart may fill in before the other side does, depending upon how the payments come in. And you may be in a position where, let's say that these 2 circles on the top were filled in and these 2 circles on the left were filled in. And now one of those people who the payment is showing up in your cycles, they may now end up in this circle. So at that point, even though they are directly sponsored by you, they filled in your affiliate link, they are one of your partners, they are direct to you. Don't always think of it as you only collect X4 payments from 2 levels below, because in that case, they'll fall into your payment line and you will collect that payment. So it is possible for even the people that you've directly sponsored to land on your second level here and you get paid on it. And that's where a lot of the confusion comes in. A lot of the questions I get as to where did the payment go and why did it happen, you know, the way it did, why did the person get paid, who got paid. Now, in that case, I know it's a little bit hard to imagine it and just envision it on this chart. But if these 3 circles were filled in, these payment circles were filled in, and this one was already filled in, this payment circle could be, say, the second person that you sponsored. The first person that you sponsored now cycles and lands here. The second person you sponsored will actually have that first person on their first payment line, and that's where those cross-line payments can come from. So you always look at where the payment is due. In this case, it is somebody that you personally sponsored. They cycled, that payment is due to you. It is now going to fall onto your next open spot on your chart. And if it happens to fall on the second level, then whoever is listed on your first level now just was lucky. They just had one of their circles filled in by a sale that you made. It was either a recycle or an additional sale. It could have been a third person you sponsored at that point, and they happened to fall into this circle here. That payment circle falls under whoever was in your payment circle here. So they just got a free circle filled in at that point. And as that person continues to build their business, it will help the person that they fell under as well, because their 2 will be under that person. So I hope that makes sense. We can get into some more specific examples of that if we need to, but that's where I know a lot of the confusion with the X4 comes in with, you know, why did the payments go where they went? And it has to do with however your payment circles are filled in. When you receive a payment, the system will always fill in 2 circles. If it fills in one of your top circles, then the person that you fell under, it'll fill in their second level. If it fills in your second level circle, then the person that fell under will get their first payment circle filled in. That's the simplest way that I can explain that. So when the sale is made, if it falls on your front line, that means you get a top level circle filled in. The system has to find a second level circle to fill in. Well, that's going to go to whoever you fell under the chart when your X4 purchase was made. That's who will get their second line filled in.
And just to put everyone at ease that isn't quite following all of this, I barely follow all of this, and and Jeremy's doing a great job. It's just, and it's not because it's so confusing. It's just, it's hard to envision. It's hard to envision. Just remember it's all about filling in those payment circles, and they, if they're being passed from below, it's filling them in. And if someone down below is coming in at a higher level than their sponsor, it's rolling on up to you if you're at that level, and it's filling in the empty spot. You know what I mean? It's just filling in those empty spots is what's happening.
Right. So now if we look at some actual payment circles, just to tell you what would happen in these cases. So let's explain the colors real quick. We already went over purple. So I don't have any pink or purple circles currently on my chart, but I do have the other 3 colors. So the darker green, when you see a darker green, that means that's somebody that was a partner that you personally invited. So in this case, these dark green circles came from somebody who is directly on my team when they made a purchase. The payment was due to me. When you see the dark blue circles filling in, that means the payment was not due to me. It was due to the person who's in this circle, the person represented by this payment circle. In this case, it says 1005996. So whoever that is, they collected 2 top line circles on their chart, and therefore it filled in that area of my chart. The dark, and the light, the light green circles. So in this case, this came from an overflow or a spillover, and so did this one in this case. What that means is I landed on someone else's chart. So let me show you that in this particular example. So in this case, this is 1035598. So if you click on the payment amount, it shows you a more in-depth view of those payments. So we can see that this particular one came from an overflow of where I ended up. So just remember that's 1035598. So now if I go to my sponsor and I go and look at their circles, and they've cycled, so I'm gonna have to go to one of their prior cycles. So you can see here's where I landed on their chart. Oh, I'm in the X3. Sorry about that. I have to go to the X4. So you'll notice this is me on their chart. And here's a case where I fell onto their chart again. So when I recycled, I came into this position. And now these 2 circles, one of them was filled in by somebody other than me because I landed on somebody else's X4 chart. So when that particular payment came to this person, it fell under me in their chart. And that's why when I go back to my charts, you'll see that show up as they call it overflow from up. This circle was filled in because of where I landed on when I paid my X4 and recycled, they filled in their chart, and I therefore got what's called a cross-line payment because of that. So that's a little bit about how to track them and where they come from and the difference in what the colors mean. So what's interesting is you'll notice none of these payment circles really, the different levels look the same, right? So this is another thing that confuses people is if I sponsor somebody right now and they buy all the way to level 10 because they just have a lot of money at this point to buy all the way to level 10. Well, let's say that they did that. The first payment, when they buy into level 1, I'm going to collect that payment because it's going to hit my payment circle. Even though they're directly sponsored by me, they're not 2 levels below me, I'm going to collect that payment. So I would collect on the X3 and I would collect on the X4 the next time I sponsor somebody at level 1 or I get a recycle from level 1. When they go to level 2, I would not collect that payment because it's going to fall on the top line here. When they come in at level 3, that would fall onto one of my payment circles. So again, I'm going to collect on even the X4 level 3 the next time somebody upgrades to level 3, even if they're a personal partner of mine. Level 4, I would not collect on. Level 5, I would not collect on. All the way again until level 9. All of those cases from 4 through 8, it's going to end up going up line just like you would expect because it would hit the top level circle. However, when it gets to level 9, it's going to fill in this circle and I'll get paid on level 9, even though it's an X4, even though they're directly sponsored to me, and the same with level 10. So I hope that clears it up a little bit. And now here's a great case. So they went to level 10. So my circle would be a dark green circle falling under a circle that came to me from overflow. So whoever 966963 is in this case would be really happy because they would get a light green circle filled in for them because I've filled in this payment circle. So hopefully that helps clear up some of the, you know, the way that works. You really have to look at, you know, it's not people, it's payments. And this is what I mean by that. Even the same person buying all of these different levels, some of the payments I would collect, some of the payments would go up line, some of the payments would show up on cross line people's payment circles. Okay. So I know many people will probably have some questions. Hold them to the end.
Yeah, write them down so you remember them. Absolutely.
So now let's talk about xGold, where it gets exciting because, you know, like Mike talked about, you can actually 10x your money on xGold. The xGold, the way that it works is literally no different than X4 in terms of how you look at things. The only thing that really changes with xGold is that there are 4 payment circles filled in every time a purchase is made instead of 2. And the amount that you get is not always 100% when it's due to you. You may get 20, you may get 30, you may get 50, depending upon where it falls on your payment circles. So that's really the only big difference. There's just a lot more payment circles to get filled in before you cycle. So when a purchase is made, looking at your charts, assuming you have blank charts, your first circle would get filled in. You would get nothing for that. The system would figure out, okay, where did you land when you purchased your xGold? So that's why it says upline here, not sponsor. If you purchased a level of xGold that, say your sponsor did not get into xGold yet, this would go to whoever you purchased your xGold from. That's why it says upline other than sponsor again. So there's a chance that whoever gets this payment, it depends on where you fell on their payment circles. And that's what determines who would get this payment. And it goes from there. That person would get 20%. Wherever they landed, that person would get the 30%. And then wherever they landed, that person would get 50%. Okay, so every time a purchase is made, 4 circles get filled in. And depending upon how the person who's due that payment collects it, what circle they get filled in, determines where the rest of the payments
According
go.
to Wikipedia, Root is an American internet retailer based in the Dallas suburb of Carrollton, Texas.
Alexa, off. Sorry about that. All right. So this particular chart, we're just talking about how the payments work. This was there to talk about what each level costs. So I'll kind of go through that quickly. We don't need to spend a lot of time on that. We're really just talking about how the payments work. So again, I already mentioned, we talked about, you know, the upline payments and how that's not necessarily your sponsor. It depends upon whose circles you fell into. So the lock symbols, what's interesting here is depending upon which circles you get filled in. So in this case, let's say we had one direct line and you had these 3 payment circles filled in, you'd now have received 100%. You don't necessarily need 200% to level up. So you do for the first level, from then on, it's only 150 to 160% is needed. So if you just had a direct line on one side, a direct line on another side, or any combination of other circles that gets filled in, you have enough now to go to the next level of xGold. So that's all this is trying to represent, is the rest of this. You can see there's a lot of blue circles here. Those are all profit. So again, the pay lines, 0% on the top, 80% if you add up all of these circles filling in, another 240% for all of these, and then 800% for all of these. So when you add all of that up and subtract the fact that 2 of those are going to upline. You end up with 10.2 times your Ethereum when you fill in all of those circles. So that delayed gratification that Mike was talking about earlier is worth it. When you do the work to have an organization that's growing and building enough to fill in all of the payment circles, and you cycle just once, you've 10x'd your money for that level. So at level 1, that's, 0.05. So, you're going to end up with 0.5 when you're done. At level 2, it's 0.1 to buy level 2. When you finish filling all those circles, you'll have earned an Ethereum, which today is, $1,300, $1,400 just for filling in those circles.
So am I allowed to ask a question here, guys?
Hey,
Should I
Peter,
mute?
we did mention to wait until the end to ask the questions.
Sorry.
Okay, sorry about that. So when you look at so this is back when we were looking at 650 per ETH. So this chart is pretty old at this point. It's like double that. And you look at the kind of money that you can make, now it's double at level 15. It's over $1 million just to fill in all of your level 15 payment circles.
Which is why, the way I think about all of this, I think is obviously different than how most people think about it. That's why my results are different. So I like to share it, even though I know it doesn't hit the way I try to convey it, but I can't have that be why I don't say it. So I think of it, pull back that slide again, because I think I look at that slide different than most people. And I want to help people, like, this can get easier when you change the way you think about this stuff.
You want the money slide up?
Yeah, that big slide that shows like now $1 million if you fill in all those payment circles. So when, and again, I know that this may not click or hit, but maybe like when I keep trying to convey some of these things enough times, it will. And when it does, guys, you realize like nothing will stop you from capitalizing once you got it, like perspective wise. Like I get up earlier now, I go to bed later, I have more energy during the day, I sleep harder, I make sure there's no little light coming through the window, so I sleep harder. I make sure I don't watch and open up my laptop before I go to bed, so I sleep harder. All the things that I tried to get myself to have the discipline to do before, I now find myself doing without effort because I see what's here. And once you get there, like everything changes. You just do things different. So here's a little nugget, hopefully. When I look at this, I think to myself, what groove do I got to get into to just churn out like a process that exposes people to what's here, the opportunity, sorts very efficiently and effectively, and I just do it like a routine. And if I only had an hour a day, like I would be obsessing over that hour all day long. I'd be like so excited to like pounce on that hour. And I would know like what my plan is to be having this process just churning, like a train, like choo, 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 choo. I just like picture it. And like I sit down or what, and I think, okay, what am I going to do to sort for the right people right now with my hour? And then I just picture these payment circles just systematically filling in with others who are like-minded, with others who are kindred spirits, with others who want to seize opportunity, who are excited and energized by where crypto is going, who are excited and energized by the decentralized nature of Ethereum, who are excited by Ethereum, who are excited to see it go up and who realize it's probably going to keep going up. I think what process, if I only had an hour a day, what process can I plug into immediately to just create this system of sorting for those kinds of people and plug them in and then set them up. And then I just picture these payment circles filling in. I picture them duplicating that process because I understand that what I do gets duplicated by kindred spirits. I don't get hung up on everybody else. Like I notice a lot of people get hung up on everybody who isn't a kindred spirit, on everybody who doesn't get it. Like I don't even notice It's like if I'm looking up at the stars and I see the Big Dipper and I'm pointing at the Big Dipper to, like, you know, my daughter or something, like I don't see the star over there. Like I don't see all the other stars. I'm looking at the Big Dipper. Or if I see the North Star, this really bright star in the sky, and I'm trying to point it out to somebody, I see that. I don't see like all, it's interesting. I notice a lot of people like see all the other people that this isn't for, and they talk about them and they obsess about them and they think, what do I need to say to convince this person? It's like, no, create a system and a process that sorts very efficiently and effectively with whatever limited amount of time you have. If I had 15 minutes a day, I'd be pounding that 15 minutes every single day. Sort. Like, who's excited about Ethereum? I just post that on my page. Who's excited about like what the network marketing industry offers? I would just be calling out constantly. I might do a Facebook Live. I don't even like Facebook Lives, but this will get me to do a Facebook Live. And I'm not going to be pitching and promoting it. I'd be saying, hey guys, who out there is like excited about cryptocurrency? I am. You know what I mean? Like whatever, you know, I don't even do Facebook Lives, but you can. There's so many different ways you can do it. You can just be posting on Facebook like I'm talking about. Of course, we are coming out with marketing funnels soon, and I digress, but I just want you guys to understand when I look at this, I envision them filling in, and I envision what I'm going to do with whatever amount of time I have per day, just sort for people who get it. And I don't care about anything else. Like if they don't get it, I don't get hung up on that. I'm like, next. And I'm excited. And so if you can get there, filling in these payment circles is way beyond realistic because there's a lot of people right now who are really excited about what's going on and they'd be excited about this opportunity. I have hundreds of them in my inbox right now. I don't have time to follow up with them all. So they're out there. But that's because I don't pay attention to the other ones. Okay, guys. Jeremy, did you have anything else you wanted to cover before we move into strategy?
No, I think the only other thing to mention real quick is, so I showed the charts for the other ones. So I can show the charts for these. You will see that there are additional colors here. So you've got, they turned yellow for partner who's ahead. So if you get a payment from somebody down below and it bounces up to you, that's apparently going to show up as yellow here. The bottom overflow means that that came from somebody who was under a person who did not have that level yet. So an example of that, you see a lot of these orange payments here. That means somebody decided to do xGold, but their sponsor did not join the xGold program. So they came up. So it's similar to the pinkish purple circles up above. It means that somebody, you know, skipped over their partner because their partner was their sponsor was not doing it. So those will show up as your orange ones. The partner invited by you is still the dark blue. So that means that these dark blue circles are somebody who was directly sponsored by me. They came in on my affiliate ID. And then the white circles are representative of all of the people that I did not personally bring into the system or did not personally receive the payment from. It landed in the chart in other places. So all of these white circles that are filled in, those came from these two people collecting a whole bunch of payments and me being one of those 4 circles that got filled in when that payment was made. So, and then the last thing to say is similar to what we talked about with the X4. So at this point, if I had somebody that bought all the way to level 11 where I am in the xGold, whether I get the payment or not and how much that payment would be is completely dependent upon what circles are already filled in. So right now, if a person that I personally sponsor goes, let's say they go all the way to level 11, their first xGold payment is going to fall on the top and I'm not going to collect anything. The same would be true for the level 2. When they go level 3, it's going to fill in my final circle. So again, I will not collect any money because that's the final one needed for me to cycle my level 3. So that payment would go upline. So I would not collect on 1, 2, or 3 from somebody I personally sponsor. 4, there's 2 circles open. So again, that's going to go upline. But on 5, I would collect 50% even though I personally sponsored that person. And what would happen is when it falls onto this circle on this chart, or square in this case, whoever, so right now my next one would come into, it looks like right here, because it goes like every other one. So 1032179 would have their top level circle filled in. 978788, they would end up receiving a 20% payment. 967719 would get a 30% payment. And then whoever's chart my level 5 landed on would get, or I'm sorry, I'd get the 50% payment in that case. But then it would go 1, 2, 3 for the other 3 payments. This would be 0%, this would be the 20%, this would be the 30%. So depending upon where it falls, in this case, the payment's due to me, I would get the 50%. These other people would get 20 and 30%. So again, here I'd get 50%, 50%. In this case, I'd get 20%, 20 for all of these. So if they went all the way to level 11, I would not get some of the payments. I would get 50% on some. I'd get 20% on some. So don't get hung up on necessarily, you know, oh my gosh, this person, I sponsored them and they are 4 deep from me. They should be hitting all my 50% circles. Payment circles are not a person structure. It looks at who is due that payment and it'll fill in the appropriate circle. So whoever this person is, 968708, would end up receiving their first circle filled in because of work that I did building my team. So I would have sponsored that person. I would have collected a 20% payment, and the 0% payment circle would be filled in for that person who happened to land on my chart. So even though this person is actually in depth below me, I happen to know who it is. They're, I think, four people below me. Because I'm personally active and I'm personally sponsoring somebody, they're going to get one of their circles filled in through my efforts, which is pretty cool. But just keeping in mind that whoever receives the payment, the system looks at their payment circles to determine where the other 3 circles that need to get filled in. So that's all I had, Mike, for the detailed overview.
Okay, awesome. So that's the detailed overview. Thank you so much, Jeremy, for that. Extremely helpful and thorough. I'm going to, just for everyone that feels like, okay, it was a little more than you're able to take in all at once, I'm going to show you again how I cover this, what everything that Jeremy just covered. I obviously don't cover all that with a prospect. So we wanted to do this detailed review for those of you that really want that and you want to go back through it. But I'm going to set my timer to 1 minute and go through everything that Jeremy just covered the way that I would cover it. Just to show you how simple I keep it with prospects. So I'm hitting start. Let's see if I can do this. X3. So first payment, 100% commissions goes to you. Second payment, 100% commissions go to you. Third payment rolls upline for leveraged income. You like that because when your team has roll-ups, it's going to you. After you fill in these 3 circles, it recycles. It just keeps doing it over and over again. X4 also pays a lot up front, but a little bit more delayed gratification, a little bit more leveraged income. We're able to leverage your team. First level payment, not person, first level payment rolls up line. Second level payments, most of them go to you. Second level payment, first one, 100% commissions goes to you. Second level payment, 100% commissions goes to you. Third payment on the second level, 100% commissions go to you. Last one rolls up line. You like that because that means your teams are rolling up to you. It recycles, keeps doing it over and over again. xGold, basically the same thing. First level rolls up line. Second level, 20%, almost. Third level, 30%, fourth level, 50%. When they fill in, it recycles. That's what I cover for prospects. And then we'll send them to this if they ask lots of questions after they're in. We'll send them to this replay. Okay, guys, so I know a lot of you probably had questions. I feel like those questions might change if we go over strategy a little bit. And so let's go over strategy really quickly. Jeremy, I'll be interested in hearing from you. Jason, I'll be interested in hearing from you on this. So just cut me off, and because I'm going to go quickly because I know there's people that might have to go and they have important questions. So the team building strategy, a little bit different than what we used to talk about. We used to talk about going 12 deep, and now we just feel really strongly based on what we're seeing that while I still encourage people to go deep and work with their teams to go deep, if you're like doing all the recruiting yourself, you probably don't want to go that deep. You really need, you might eventually, you can circle back around, but you need to also go wide. And so deep, it's still the same strategy, but you'll notice a little difference. Remember, we encourage you to build with 2 legs at first. Start with 2. There are exceptions. If you're a pretty strong recruiter, you could start with maybe 4. But if you're not really confident with your ability to do that, start with 2. It's not a perfect 2x2 when you're building out. It doesn't necessarily go 2 under you and 2 under them and then 2 under them. Not necessarily. Kind of depends how things are playing out. Like if I bring somebody in here and then I don't hear from them very much or whatever, and I put somebody underneath them and I don't really get much feedback, you better be darn sure I'm not putting someone on their other leg. Like I'm not feeling the vibe, you know what I mean? So it depends on the feedback you're getting. Also, if somebody is supporting the person I bring in really well, I might be more apt to help out. So there's different things that are playing out to decide exactly how you build this. And that's why I think it was Jason who came up with this light strategy. You're driving down deep. And again, if you're doing all the work, it doesn't mean like you just keep going on 2 legs really, 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 really deep all by yourself. Like you might want to pull back and and whip the team a little bit and say, okay, guys, if you want more, I need to see you doing something. I'm going to go wide for a little while and just kind of watch you guys incubate for a little bit. You know what I mean? So the icicle light strategy doesn't mean you just all by yourself just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper. If you don't see a lot happening or your team's trying, but they're not producing, you might pull back and let them grow a little bit, send them a personal development book or something, you know what I mean? Help them on their confidence and then go wider, maybe show them the marketing funnels, see if they can kind of start producing too, because you can't do it by yourself. So the icicle light strategy is a goal as a team, not a goal for an individual to do for the team.
And notice how the screenshot there's 9 or 10 icicles. It's not one single strand. It's an actual icicle light, which is what you see on the screen.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, but like this little light right here represents a second leg starting to go.
Yeah.
Right. And that could be go really long.
Yep.
Right. These little icicle lights indicate a leg growing and it could go deep, but obviously you can't visually show all of that. Right. So that's what the icicle light shows. Okay. So step 1, start 2 legs. If you're on your own, you're moving faster than your upline's helping you, you just start 2 legs on your own. If someone started a leg for you, and so this is you, and then you already had a person placed here, then, you place your first person down here, and then you'd place your second person up here. You want to start 2 legs. If nobody is in your team yet, and you have 2 people to bring in, you bring them in on your front level. So in both instances, step 1 is start 2 legs. Pretty simple. Step 2 is drive down. We used to say 12 levels, but people misunderstood. We didn't mean all by yourself. We meant the team working together. So because we saw people kind of misunderstand that, we're saying 4+. Like it just depends how far. It depends how well your team's responding. Are they duplicating? Are they trying but not producing? And they might need more time to learn new skills. Or to work on their confidence or whatever, or just get an aha moment. You might need to go 4 levels down and then give them time to incubate, get them time to attend more webinars, figure stuff out, and you go wider. So you don't just keep going deep, 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 deep. It depends on what's going on. And you do need to let sometimes people grow. You know what I mean? You need to let them kind of grow personally through some of this. Step 3, you want to help others rank up. So part of the strategy is like, if I sign somebody up here and then I see they place somebody here, then I might place somebody here and then they're going to take that ETH and they're going to upgrade to the next level. And we're going to keep helping people do that, help them rank up. Now, something that I say before somebody enrolls that I think could be really helpful is I say, if I give you a sale, if I place a sale underneath you, and I'm not guaranteeing that, I go, depends on how my business is shaping up and everything, but it's my intention. And I've done that for many people. I haven't done it for everybody, but it's my intention. And we teach for people to do that. If I give you one though, do you promise to take that Ethereum and upgrade to the next level with it? Because if I'm going to go through the trouble of giving you a sale, I'm basically giving you Ethereum. I don't play small, I play big. My goal is to help you get to position 10 in the X3, X4, and xGold. If you're sitting on that ETH, I don't want to give you that sale. I'd rather just, like, if you don't agree to do that, I'll send you my affiliate link on my front level. I'll show you what I do, but I'll never give you a sale. Would you rather do that? Or would you rather have my intention be to help you get a sale? If so, you're agreeing to take that ETH that you made from my sale and use it to upgrade to the next level. And I tell them, and it might mean that, you know, when I place someone underneath you, a sale underneath you, and you get that ETH, you might be 0.025 ETH short, because that's how it works out sometimes at first. I go, if you're 0.025 ETH short, do you still agree to upgrade to the next level? Because I'd pay 0.025 ETH all day long if Jason was going to give me sales. You know, and I go, so if you don't see the value of that, let me just send you my front level affiliate link. I'll never put a sale underneath you, and we'll do what most people do, and we'll, you know, let you build it on your own. Almost everybody, well, so far everybody agrees that, yeah, they'll take the ETH. They'll even throw in an extra 0.025 ETH to make the difference to level up. But I have that conversation before I bring them in. For those of you who are doing sales under people, you might want to have that conversation beforehand, including having them agree that if they're 0.025 ETH short, they're still going to level up. If they don't see the value of that, just sign them up on your front level and do what everyone else in the Forsage does. Step 3, help others. What's that say? I don't know what that means. Basically, you're helping people rank up. You know, you're really doing your best to help them earn some ETH so that, and they should have agreed beforehand, so that they can rank up to a higher level. You're helping people get to the higher paying levels of ETH. That's what the team building strategy is all about. But you don't do it all for people. Like, if you don't see people contributing, maybe they're trying, but they're just not able to produce yet. They got some growth to do, some personal growth, or they need an aha moment or whatever it is. You let them incubate for a while. And you go ahead and start some new legs while they're incubating, you know, and while they're, you know, they're growing, and personally, interpersonally. And then you could circle back around. If they're still, you know, working at it and maybe starting to get some results, you can come back and support them. You know, so you don't just give it all away. It's really important to understand. So you're helping people rank up. You're kind of feeding those that are learning how to fish, and they're putting the work out and they're getting some results. And if you're not seeing that in a leg, you might want to go start some new legs for a while and see if they're still here in a couple months. Because if they went away, then it's a good thing you didn't put more people underneath them. If it's that easy to lose them, you don't want to be giving them people. So like, if I start a leg and people aren't doing much, I put some people underneath them, they're not doing much, I might take a break from that leg, go start a new leg, maybe start another leg. But in a couple months, circle back around, check in. If they're all like not paying attention, they're not on the web, they're not doing anything, good thing I didn't put any more energy into that leg. But if they are, I might go ahead and start some energy there again. Step 4, start a third leg. I kind of jumped ahead. Like, there's a time to start that third leg. And I think a lot of people are starting it too late. You really want to start the third leg, the fourth leg, and the fifth leg, I think, sooner than a lot of people really understood. And I wrote down here, you start the third leg when you are 4+ deep in 2 legs, with 1 or more person in both legs who have 2 legs growing on their own. I mean, that's the aim. But again, there's also the scenario where if they're just not producing, they're not doing anything, you got to just let them grow a little bit, let them work together a little bit, let them try some things, let them have their aha moment, and go start some new legs. You can always circle back around and give them some more energy if they're still plugging away a couple months from now. And you just keep building legs out that same way. So this used to say go down 12+. We didn't mean all by yourself. You know, it really meant with your team. You know, if you are finding you're doing most of the work or all of the work, don't, you know, be careful about just keep giving away. Sometimes you need to pull back in order for people to grow, in order for people to like have a breakthrough. Anything you want to say on that, Jason and Jeremy, before we open up questions on strategy? I think this is like something people really struggle with, and we're seeing a lot of people that are capable of bringing people in, giving too much away, and then they start to get burned out, right? It's not good. You want them to get, you know, rewarded, for what they're producing. And you want people sometimes who are trying, but maybe not getting results, to work through some stuff, right? And to not be just sitting hoping someone's going to give them a free lunch. Like, that's not healthy. They'll never have their breakthrough if that's the kind of culture that gets created.
Yeah, Mike, I always liked how you framed that we can always circle back around and help them at any time. And it can be days, weeks, months from now. And I remember somewhere, this was over a month ago now, Mike was like, I tell some of my new people, give me 2 months and let's see what happens. Instead of, what I was thinking going into that was like, give me like 2 hours, let's see what happens. And now I feel all guilty, like, man, they've been sitting there for 24 hours and haven't seen any action yet.
Yeah.
And it gets me like going. So it was a totally messed up mindset, because I created a team of people that are like this. Feed me. They're like that Stanley guy at the plant, the Venus flytrap.
Feed me.
Yeah, exactly. So and what I was really doing, I was mother henning everybody.
You're sick.
I was taking away their ability to go out and be like, hey, if I'm going to be sitting here, it might be weeks, maybe even a couple months, like Jason said. I'm going to go out now, and what can I do? And now all of a sudden we're creating self-sourced armies, not self-socialized hander-outers.
Yeah. It's really important, guys. Success, you can recognize success, and you recognize it in, it's a trait, it's a quality. You recognize it in sports teams. You recognize it in political teams. I also want to talk about politics even that closely. You recognize it in every winning team of every kind in every organization in business. And you can't leave it out here either.
Mike, I have one other thing too that was really cool, that it pushed my comfort zone whenever so when I don't create new icicles, I'm like, hey, the team has them. I have them stacked down 10 other people. They're totally getting hooked up. So I don't have any responsibilities and I can just chill, making my daily Ethereum, just sitting here doing nothing. Or I tap new icicles and I'm like, man, I got to get busy. Nobody else is going to be helping them. It's on me. And so it's this game that keeps me like pushing my comfort zone always. I don't ever want to be comfortable. That leads to a lot of poverty, bankruptcies, a lot of mediocrity throughout our life, and a lot of regret at the end of our life. So I love staying out of my comfort zone. And one of the ways I do that is to tap a new icicle or tap one under a leader or something like that.
And Jason means start a new leg. Sign someone up on his front level and start supporting a new leg. Okay, guys, let's open this up for questions. Thanks, Jason. Guys, any questions at all? Let's go ahead and unmute, say your name, where you're calling from, and fire away.
Hey, Jason and Mike.
Yeah, go ahead, Dean.
Yeah. Hey, could you guys speak to the amazing tool that you guys developed for tracking all this, and just really trying to be mindful of where you're placing people, like not necessarily putting 665 under a 222, so they're instantly passed up. I mean, I don't know. We just try to be mindful of that, and we try to develop legs that have smaller numbers in them, and put people into there, and then then they can work up. But I just think there's still a lot of people that are not using that registration tool and putting their name and email in there, and it's hard for us to know who's who. And some teams are better at that than others. But could you speak to kind of how important that is, and just being mindful of where people are at, and trying to be moving up together?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Dean, for that question. And, I'll just kick it off by saying, yeah, whenever somebody enrolls, I always have them register. It's like the first priority. I have them register for that tool so I can see where they are in the organization. And I tell them if they don't register for that tool, it's going to be very difficult for me to help them, support them, or see, because I can't see where they are. And so that's the first thing I have them do. And, there's 3 different views when you log in. Whoops, I lost it. There's team viewer up here. And that's going to be the most information. Like this includes even their affiliate link, their first name if they registered. It have question marks if they didn't register, but you'll still see their ID number and also the levels that they're at. Like, you know, this shows that somebody is at level 330. That means level 3 in the X3, level 3 in the X4, and then 0 in the xGold. You know, here's somebody else at 660. So 6 in the X3, 6 in the X4, and then not in the xGold. Here's somebody at 11, 10, 10. You know, so you can see where everybody's at 7, 7, 6. So 7 in the X3, 7 in the X4, 6 in the xGold. Yeah, I have everyone register here, and I always look here. Someone that I recently enrolled today was bringing somebody in, and she says, you know, where do you suggest I place them? I said, let's pull up the hierarchy tool, you know, and I was able to pull up the hierarchy tool, and then, you know, I can't remember her number off the top of my head, but I go like this. I go Command F, and I either enter their first name up here. I don't know if you can see this in the upper right-hand corner when I hit Command F on my laptop, and I can enter their first name, you know, and I can find them that way. And then I click on their ID number. So check this out. I click on their ID number that I'm looking at, and now I can just look at their organization. And, you know, and now I can kind of see where everyone's level is at. In fact, it was Joy that I was talking to this morning, and I saw that she had 2 people here who haven't registered yet. So, you know, we'll want to get them registered right away. They just came in. And then Dustin over here, and she's bringing somebody else in on her front level. You know, she's actually going to start, I think, with 4 legs, because she is very capable at producing. And so, you know, we were able to discuss where that person should fall. Now, as far as like strategizing, so using this tool is immensely important, guys. Have everyone register right away so you can see where they are, teach them to come back here and see how their organization is structuring. And as far as strategy goes, I might have Jason come in and Jeremy and offer some additional input. I'll just kick that off by saying, you know, I do what serves the team and me most, because if you're not eating and you're doing a lot of the work, like, you're going to lose interest. You got to be producing for yourself too, but I do what serves everybody. And so, for example, what that means is, like, if there's Dustin over here and someone's bringing somebody in at 444, you know, it might say, oh, that's perfect to put under Dustin because he's at 444. Now, I would make sure that Dustin has already agreed, if we're handing sales to him, he's going to take that ETH and use it to upgrade. If I don't have that commitment from them beforehand, very clearly, I won't do that. And I think that it's something people aren't doing clearly enough. And that's extremely important, to make sure that you have their commitment, that if you're going to do something, you know, give something away so valuable that they're going to contribute to the growth of the team. And if they don't see value in that, then there would be no reason to give them a sale. They can get all the sales on their own. You know, so have that conversation first. But I basically just try to, you know, match people up to help people upgrade. And I do that for people that have committed to, when we help them do that, they're going to upgrade. So if Joy had someone to put in, or Bob had someone to put in who was 444, I'd look at this and go, well, what about putting them under Dustin? And if Dustin had agreed, he's going to take the ETH that's basically given to him and upgrade with it. He's going to be able to go to, like, I don't know how that would roll out to, but he'd probably be able to go to 5. He might be able to go to 5.5. I don't know. But, you know, that's what I'm trying to do, is match people up that are at a similar level with people that have committed to upgrading with it. And then that helps Joy upgrade, that helps Bob upgrade. Now we're helping everybody get to the higher levels where they can make a lot more Ethereum as their organizations are growing. Is there anything you want to add to that, Jason and Jeremy?
Yeah, one thing I'll add real quick is, the only thing that can really change that is if they know each other, right? I mean, if somebody comes in and they're like, okay, this is a couple of people that have worked together before, you know, you really want them together, then you might find a way to make sure that they go into the same leg together. But if it's somebody who's, you know, completely new, then yeah, you have more choices, right? You can figure out where's the best place for that roll up to happen. And then, yeah, as far as placing somebody who's a higher level under somebody who's a lower level, you know, we try not to do that. There are cases where, you know, they know each other. You know, for example, I had somebody who, you know, they started their wife and them, and they wanted to be on the lower position and just let some of the profits roll up to their wife. You know, so they had their higher position below a lower position, which is okay, because from a profit standpoint, all the positions that the wife was not in rolled up to the person above. So it's, you know, it's not necessarily a bad thing to get passed up. You can always catch it on the cycling later.
Let me give another example here. Let's say Bob right here, or Joy right here, or this person right here, which I believe is Kim. Let's say they brought somebody in, they referred somebody who's at 2 in the X3 and 2 in the X4. Well, we see someone who's at 2 in the X3 and 2 in the X4 here. So we would first consider, unless there's some weird situation that, you know, is unusual, we would probably be putting that person here. But only if Kim had agreed first that she's going to take any ETH given to her and upgrade to the next level. And in this case, you know, and I also have them agree, even if that means that you have to come up with an extra 0.025 ETH to do it, because that's usually how it works out. And if they've committed to do that, then we'd put that person there at 2.2. That would allow her to go to 3. That would allow her to go to 3 in the X3. She'd have to pay for 0.025 extra ETH plus gas. She would go to 3. That would put some ETH in this person's wallet. And we'd say, go ahead and have that ready to upgrade when you can, collect that. And then also Joy would get a little bit and she'd save that, you know, for being able to upgrade. Because again, you don't want to give sales to anybody who isn't agreeing to race towards position 10. If they're pocketing it and you're doing a lot of the work, that's silly. Like that's a recipe for disaster. So don't be giving sales away to people that aren't agreeing to not just upgrade, but even sometimes take a little bit, like 0.0, like when they're close, that they should see the value of that. Otherwise, they're not understanding the integral part of the system if they're not racing towards the higher levels. In which case, it's fine to work with them, but let them get their own sales.
And that's the other reason why I brought up that scenario is if you're bringing in somebody who is not planning on building a team and committing to what Mike's talking about, rolling up, et cetera, like in this case, you know, a spouse account, you're taking responsibility for building that position and not letting it just be a position that can, you know, collect ETH, you know, from the system. Like you know, we talk about going 4 deep in a leg with active people. You know, if one of the people that you put into that leg, you know, is just an investor type mentality, they never plan on, you know, recruiting anybody and generating sales, and you know that, then you're taking on the responsibility of helping grow that particular position on the team is the way I look at it.
And unless you're a big producer, it's not a smart idea. It's just more work for you, more cost for you. And what ends up ultimately happening is it's a drain on the whole team. It's just taking from the team because most people aren't big producers. And so now you've got more of a liability than an asset in there. And it's just not a good recipe. So unless you're able to bring a lot of people in, you should stick with one position for now until you're in an empowered place and you have that process down. Then you can bring in more positions.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, go ahead, Dean.
Yeah, so also something that we as leaders, and we teach our people to do this, that I mean, as soon as a new person is added to the bottom of that icicle, that's generating commissions usually for the 2 people above most of the time, certainly the person directly above. But anyways, that means they can upgrade right away. And then that kind of creates a chain reaction. And it's quite exciting if people are really paying attention and, you know, doing this in a quick manner, not waiting for days or weeks to do it.
Yeah, absolutely, Dean. I'm so glad you brought that up. I mean, people who aren't producers, you know, they really don't have a game face and they don't understand the energy of a winning team. And that's why they're not producing very well. And that's okay if that's their culture and they're committed to staying that way. I mean, I don't want to force anyone to have to change, but you definitely need to understand enough if you're going to participate in success, which is what we're aiming to do here, is help people succeed, right? At this, you definitely need to understand enough to realize what fuels and excites a producer, which is, you know, the Michael Jordans, the Elon Musks. They've got their game face on, they're producing, they're working hard. And if their work and effort is helping get a sale down there, you better at least help create and pass on the enthusiasm by upgrading immediately with that ETH, or throwing a little bit, like if it's 0.025 that you're short, throwing it in and upgrading. Otherwise, let them know, like, that you're not to give you any sales, because it's just not fair to the producers. It's not only not fair, it just devastates the team. You've got to move quick. You've got to reward the producers and show them that their actions and their work and their effort is moving places. Things are moving and shaking. That's what feeds and fuels a producer. And even if you don't understand that, because that's not who you are, you must have seen it on TV on the sports teams. So you understand it kind of. Feed that, fuel that, do the little bit that you can do to keep it going.
I want to add on to that the very first thing I look for, it's not even, do they fit in this lane and are the numbers matching? And did this person commit to upgrading? Those are the later qualifications. And number one, are they producing? And if they're producing, they're getting my people first. Like that, I always look, the number one question, has this person brought somebody in the past 48 to 72 hours? If I don't have any of them or none of them that maybe I'm looking to spread the love some more, who's brought somebody in the last week or so? And that's the very first qualification. Then it's also, can I find a matching place for them? So if we were placing on the screen below Joy and I have a 6-6 coming in, I'm likely going to look to start a third leg because there's no fast lane there yet. I see a slow lane and a medium lane. Dustin medium lane, slow lane is yellows, which also tells me yellows are not committed. They're not plugged in. I don't know. Now I have more doubts about that lane. So now I realize they just got in there, right? Mike was explaining this.
Yeah, these guys just signed up today, I think.
I'm looking for them. The very first 4 steps in this fast start is like, get signed up for the tool, get signed up for Telegram. This is your first 30 minutes in business. Boom, boom, boom. And so if it's an hour in business and they're not in the tool yet, then maybe they have a job and all that stuff. I get that. But I look for people to have that information really quickly. Or I'll send a reminder too. I'm not like militant about it, but I'm looking for that. I'm just looking for all the data I can grab. So I'm looking to place under leaders. I would look to tap a new lane here. And I also wanted to mention, this was one of our leaders messaged me here and they wanted me to remind everybody, this tool was created for this organization. Nobody in Forsage or the entire crypto industry that I'm seeing has anything like this. So they can go in the back office and try to fumble around payment circles and track them down. And those of us that have tracked those, that's not anywhere near as fast as trying to figure out this data and the layout like you see it. But additionally, it's just all numbers in the back office, which is cool, right? Because it gets decentralized. You're the secret ninja crypto guy or gal. But a team build requires teamwork, which requires hopefully a first name, or you can just say dude, like I call everybody a dude. So that I just wanted to throw a couple of those things in.
Absolutely. And Dean, I'm glad you brought that up. You gotta, guys, if you're not the big producer or whatever, understand your producer's working hard and they're an A team player and A team players, they need to see movement and growth. And when they work really hard to create something and then you sit on the ETH for even a day, it's like that kills the motivation of a producer. So don't do that to them. That's like the worst thing that you can do. It's like, imagine how most people play basketball. Imagine me out there on the court against Michael Jordan. It's like, I'm going to move as fast as I can if I get a minute with Michael Jordan. I'm not going to act like I don't want to be there.
Hey, Mike, could you also just real quick speak to if someone wants to upgrade, check in with the person above them, and if they're going to pass them, maybe just give them some notice, give them a chance to go upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, I'll let others, Jeremy and Jason, also interject on this, but I just basically let people know if you're going to upgrade, communicate, with your team leader, communicate with the person directly upline to you. But you don't hold up the line a long time, guys. Again, nothing kills the growth of an organization faster than people waiting days or weeks to upgrade. There might be exceptions. I've talked about this before where if somebody's like invested a lot into you and they've really given a lot, and you might give them more time to get their funds together to upgrade if you're upgrading. But if that hasn't been happening, if somebody hasn't contributed a lot to you, I mean, you really shouldn't give more than a couple hours notice, in my opinion. Now, if your team wants to do something different, Dean, if you want to do something different, then you would communicate that to your team, but that's how I do it.
No, I appreciate that.
And
Hey guys, can I ask a question?
yeah, who's this?
Michael.
Hey, Michael. Oh, hey, Michael, go ahead.
You got the trifecta here, guys. Really appreciate what you guys are doing, always. But just wanted to just pose a question. So, and this kind of goes to Jeremy too, because he's heard me for about 3 weeks now, probably 4 weeks, saying that I have about a handful to 8 people that are interested, which was true. And through these like, weeks, they've watched the videos. I've been back and forth with them. And to be totally honest, what I'm getting back from most of them is, oh, I don't really want to bring people in. I don't want to do the team thing. I just, it sounds really interesting. I could basically get them to sign up, but they're not in the mentality of producing. So I wanted to just pose this to you guys and say, okay, I could sign them up, but I've literally kind of hesitated. I've literally just let them marinate.
I'm gonna let, it really is nuanced, right? Like sometimes I hear a winner in somebody who's trying really hard not to be one. And, and I can help bring that out. But I'll let Jeremy answer this because, and I don't know if Carl's here, but I remember him saying Carl wasn't going to bring anybody in. And then Carl ended up bringing a lot of people because he got excited from the activity that we started to build under Carl. So I'll let Jeremy respond to that kind of a scenario and see what he says.
Yeah. So, I mean, when I mentioned be careful about bringing in family members that you're, or people that are like investor types, like they don't plan on recruiting, you're kind of taking responsibility for that. I have done that in a couple of cases, and this is, a couple of family members in this case, but I would do it for others as well. If I got a feeling that you say they have a large audience in some other format, maybe they've been doing some Forex trading, or maybe they have a good circle of people that they know that if they made some money, it could excite them. And then that could attract some other leaders or other people who, are capable of doing something. I have had people on the team where, I took on that kind of responsibility that I was going to definitely put 2 people under them. They would get their original amount back. They'd start seeing those, dings on Telegram, right? They start getting excited about it. And I have had people that outright told me, I'm never going to build a business. I'm never going to be a recruiter. I just happened to know in my case, I had a couple of people I was about to place. I said, look, if you want to grab a spot on the team, I can put these couple of people, under you, and then we'll see what happens. Knowing full well that when they saw some income, they would start sharing it. So one of the people, as an example, said, I will absolutely never be a recruiter. I'm never going to share this. He ended up sponsoring 8 people so far. Okay. So it does happen, but I did take a little bit of responsibility for, if he wasn't going to be a producer, then I would have to, help make that leg not be a dead spot, so to speak. So that's my answer to it. I took responsibility for it, and it paid off in a number of cases. Some of the cases it hasn't. That's a spot that now, because I am a producer and I'm able to fill in that dead spot, I took on that responsibility. But it is absolutely possible for somebody who doesn't think that they're going to be good at recruiting. We talk about the products that Mike's putting together for these different levels. It's all training on how to be a marketer, right? It's all training on how to do attraction marketing and bring people into your business. They're going to get those products if they, come in at those, first 6 levels or whatever. They could become a producer. So it's not just about, in my opinion, it's not just about, are they capable of being a producer now? There is a little bit more nuance. There is, do they have a big circle? Do they have a following in some other format? Could they be, because they want to be, like they really want to learn how to be a marketer, they're just not yet. You can take a chance on them and help them, and it can pay off.
It is nuanced. And, that's where, when I start talking about Michael Jordan, You know, I think it confuses, understandably confuses maybe some of you, rightfully so, because not everybody's a Michael Jordan. I'm not only bringing on Michael Jordans. It is nuanced. Sometimes you might bring on somebody that who might, like in this case, not saying the right things, but for whatever reason, Jeremy sensed that they didn't quite see the winner in them, but Jeremy saw it. He saw that potential and he wanted to bring it out like a good coach might. And like you said, sometimes it's a winner and sometimes it's not, and that's okay. But Jeremy was taking that responsibility, and he knew that might be what happened, and he's had some wins out of it. And I think that's really helpful. Is that helpful, Michael? It is a little nuanced.
Yeah, it really is. I appreciate it. And I think a little bit also has been, there's a couple of them in my mind that I think I'm hesitating honestly until we get that rolled out, so that I can I have a feeling that might change things for them.
You mean when they see like a marketing process that they can plug into without going?
Yeah, and also when I can communicate that better and understand it a little bit more, the nuances of that.
I caution everybody not to wait to get into.
No, yeah, and I'm not
I understand.
necessarily waiting for your funnel. I'm just waiting.
No, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, to kind of give them more options to understand it a little more, I guess.
Absolutely.
Now, here's the other thing I'll say, Michael, is so let's say you had 4 or 5 people, right, that were kind of on that same fence and they're not sure if they're going to be recruiters, et cetera. But because you have them lined up, the way X3 and X4 works, you make the same amount of money if you were to sign all 5 people up. Let's say there's 5 of them to yourself, you'd get paid 100% on the X3. But if you put them under each other, you get paid on the X3 and then the X4 on the second one, and the first person gets paid on the X3. Now, when you put the third person in, those 2 people both get an X3 and an X4 payment. Well, that first person's been made whole, so to speak, right? So assuming they're all coming in at the same level, that first person has now literally got everything they've spent on the smart contracts back. They're whole at that point. Now, when you put the fourth person in, the second person is whole and the first person has enough money to level up. So that excitement of having multiple people that are in that position all signing up at the same time can cause them to become recruiters, so to speak, because they're going to share that. It happens where they get some dings and they're like, oh my gosh, I already made all of that I put into it back. They're naturally going to share that. And that's what kind of gets them to be recruited.
My own little mini launch thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. That's
so
great.
in that, when you think about that, let's say, there's 4 or 5 people that you now put in deep, you've now made an entire icicle spike, and all you'd have to do, all you're really taking responsibility for, because think about it, the first person, you've already met any sort of an obligation that anybody could ever even imagine, because you've made them whole already by putting 2 under them, right? Yeah. You can just focus on that taking responsibility, like I was saying, for the person that might not be a recruiter. Your responsibility now is only to the person at the bottom of that chain that you started.
Right.
At the point where you add 1 person, you've now made any thoughts or commitments or whatever you imagined, perceived commitments that they might have of, are you going to help me build? You've already done it.
Yeah, and I think you just touched on the fact of what has really made me hesitate is that I don't I haven't wanted to push them to get in yet because I don't want to create a dead spot on the team. So with the scenario you just talked about, that really helped me through that a little bit.
Yeah, it's not possible to be a dead spot if they're getting enough money to roll up immediately, and then they're getting excited and sharing it with others. And now all you do is add 1 more person to the bottom of that who is a builder, and they're all excited, right?
Michael,
so that's
just
where it's
sure
a chance, though, right? You're taking a chance that's what you can do.
Just make sure that you have them commit beforehand, that if you're going to produce the sale for them, that they'll take that ETH to upgrade to the next level until their organization's in momentum, and then they can start to take some of that ETH.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is making them really understand it's the team build and not the investment.
Absolutely.
Mindset. Yeah.
Right.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Got a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Kim.
If I have a builder, a dud, and then a builder under the dud, like all 3 in a row, and the builder underneath can upgrade. And my question is, should I get a hold of the dud, knowing full well that they've made enough money to upgrade and haven't? Should I get a hold of that person and tell them to upgrade so that the producer above can make money from them? Or do I get the producer below the dud to bypass them so they don't get any more money?
Yeah, I would contact the dud, and I'll call him that because you did. That's hilarious. I would contact the dud, and I would say, we're working here, and you got some ETH, and if you want to, the small contribution you can make is upgrading, so we can keep the energy going here and help the other producers, so this thing is rocking and rolling. Now, if they don't do that after you've done that, then you would go ahead and pass them, have the person underneath them pass them by and help build them, and don't contact that person anymore, and do everything you can to just pass them by. You're muted. Go ahead, Kim. You're muted somehow. Still unmuted. Go ahead.
Okay, I did ask her once a bit ago, and she's kind of busy doing other stuff. But I have a producer under her that could upgrade, and I just thought I don't really want to.
Yeah. You wouldn't go out of your way to have her pocket more ETH from your
Right.
guys'
Okay.
effort. No. Yeah, it sounds like it's appropriate to pass by.
All right. Thank you.
And Sally asks a follow-up on that. When you upgrade and check with your sponsor, should we check with the person above them to let them know we were upgrading as well? You basically should try to contact anybody who's going to be hit by the payment. And whether that's
unless they're infamous for not contributing.
Totally.
And for like just being annoying all around. Like people that aren't contributing to the team. And I don't just mean, maybe they're not signing people up and stuff, but like some people are just like extra slow and extra uninterested. And, it's just, if they're not contributing to a positive, like forward motion energy, I wouldn't go out of my way to make them more ETH. Because when you do that, it takes your time, your energy, and you're just like expanding more of those kinds of people in your organization. What are you laughing about, Jason?
I was laughing because I left this audio the other day in a private leaders group with Mike and Jeremy, and I was like, I'm stepping in a new territory after 15 years in this industry the past few months. And the new territory is I will not carry those people anymore because I've carried thousands of them on my back. And you can see I have these lower back problems. And granted, I've got really damn strong over the years doing that. But like Jim Rohn always said, you can carry one. If you're pretty strong, you can probably even carry two. Maybe even the strongest person in the world could carry three, but you can't carry any more than that.
Right.
And by the way, about 1,000 people on our team for like the first 30 days, we tried that carrying the masses thing. And what we found was like, wow, this is like, Susan just said, you can only push one wheelchair at a time. Exactly. It's that's really good. I think that's my new, I'm quoting Susan from now on. You just beat out Jim Rohn. Good job.
So part of that is, build more legs, guys. I can't stress it enough. Like that forces this, like that growth, that paradigm shift that Jason went through was directly correlated to when he started building more legs.
Yes.
And when you do that, something kind of transformational will happen. So if you feel like, man, I'm putting a lot into these legs that I have, and I just don't feel it, the reciprocation, or they need more time to have their own personal aha. Like there needs to be more incubation here. If you just feel that, you've got to start new legs. And what's weird is I've had that and I've started new legs, and then all of a sudden this other leg that was kind of nothing going on comes alive, and it feels great.
Yep.
And then I go back and I support them, and instead of me just giving them people now, because I gave them time to grow personally and have an aha moment, now my support is just talking to these great people they're bringing to me. It's different, and that's important. It has to grow into that. So my message to those of you that are recruiters and are producers, build a couple more legs. Just do it. And notice how much better you feel and how much better it is for your team, even the team that keeps asking you to feed them. Any other questions, guys? Compensation plan?
Listen, all my questions were sort of answered there, and thank yous, by the way, that you're making things a bit more clear. I'm quite new to this. I'm a network marketer, but I mean, I'm new to what yous are doing. And my upline Deary, she's fair play to her. She's been brilliant. Yeah, you've answered all my questions. But see, what I've been trying to explain to people is opening up a leg under yourself is always a good move, is it not?
You mean signing yourself up underneath yourself?
Yeah, so you've got no blockages. You know, if you're opening a new leg, I just opened a new leg last week. To bring in new people that I don't think, you know, if I don't think they're going to be great, but I know they're going to do something, just open that leg just so it opens, you know, instead of a strong leg. I've just started, but you know, I just think that's a really good move. Am I right?
Yeah, and just to make sure I understand, you just mean starting a new leg, right? So
Yeah,
enrolling somebody personally under you.
And enrolling myself under me.
Okay, so that can be good if you're a producer, right? If you're not a strong producer, then of course people end up spending a lot of money, and then they have this imagination that something's going to come of it. As long as you're a producer, that works.
Well, I'm trying, but I mean, I've got to get my head around the system. But what these guys are helping me do this.
You just got to be careful, because you got to remember, if that leg starts to develop, you're going to have to pay for position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 again. And it adds up. So I've done a few positions for my family. It just adds up. I mean, it is a lot of ETH going out too. That's all to remember. And so I encourage people, if you're not bringing in a lot of people on a regular basis, start with one, get some good ETH coming in, and then do that. If you're able to bring in a lot of people, then you can start with a couple positions.
Let me add this in. It's currently at pricing as of the last 15 minutes. To go level 12, 12, 15 is $461,000 US. So you want to build a new position. Our intention is always to go 12, 12, 15. You're committing to putting in almost $1 million, $920,000, instead of having 460 in your bank and 460 in your business. It's kind of like the person who tries to open 2 or 3 or 5 McDonald's instead of getting one to huge profits first.
I understand. Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah, so we're not like absolutely against it. It's just keep that cost in mind, because getting one position going is really profitable.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah, go ahead, Dean.
Just real quick, do we have a time frame on some of your tools that are going to be coming out to us?
Not really. I try to give you guys a play-by-play on where I'm, what I'm doing with it. If I could, I'll say that any day now, I plan to launch the prototype, which Robin and I will use first, so we can show you a working model in action. But we want to go through that period first, because we need to work out any glitches or kinks, right? And we need to just experience prospects coming through, enrolling them. So look for that any moment, but it's like, it always takes longer than I think. Like, for example, yesterday or 2 days ago, I started recording a video, and I thought I would be done in 2 hours. I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do really rough draft, and we're just going to throw this thing together, and then I'll come back through and we can improve it from there. Because I've been doing this so long, that should be good enough. But whenever I get into digging in, it took an extra day, and each little video and everything, it just takes a lot of creative time. It's very hard, because it's a creative process you can nail a timeline on it, but then I wouldn't be able to do anything else. So with all that said, I'm trying to get a prototype launched within the next week or two, maybe 10 days. It feels realistic, but there are these creative processes that I can't force. And I'm sitting there working on the video. It's like, yeah, a lot of people do throw out bad content, right? I'm not going to throw anything bad. You know what I mean? I'm going to work on it till it's good. And I never exactly know if that's a day, 2 days, 3 days for each little piece. Sometimes things just fly. I sit down and I get a bunch. It's just weird. I can just do 5 videos. I don't have to think, you know what I mean? And other times you just get stuck and you're going, oh, wait, I forgot. I can't say this because, and I forgot I need to say, and it starts to get clunky. And, you know, it takes a few days to work out something you thought you'd do in an hour because you missed something in that creative process. So I think 10 days is realistic for prototype. And then if we didn't run into any glitches or anything we need to correct, you know, we'd probably be 2 weeks off from there for being able to get this in your guys' hands. But again, keep in mind, there's a creative process here and I can't force it. So hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. We appreciate so much. I know it's going to be worth the wait. You guys are amazing. Did I hear you say that there was going to be kind of a requirement of a minimum number of boards or that people have as far as upgrading? Or I heard you say 6 and 6 or something. Is that right?
You know, as for the funnels, no.
Oh.
You know, and again, I try not to give too many details yet because sometimes there's something I just can't see about all of this until it's all ready. And I go, oh, you know, it all becomes clear on the details. You know what I mean? Like, I think, you know, everybody will be able to use these funnels. I can't see right now any reason why that wouldn't be the case.
Okay, great. Thank you, guys.
Mike, you're just giving us time to get better at what we're doing anyway.
Well, that's just it. I have tried to, thanks for bringing that up Tony, because I have really tried to get the point across that a funnel by itself isn't that powerful. A funnel with the things I've been teaching recently is very powerful, and they're very simple things, right? It's like, if you've got leads coming through your funnel and they check out your Facebook page and you know, you're just not posting anything that appeals to this audience that would be interested in this, you're going to lose them. And so that's why I keep saying, get ready, you know, by putting the right content out and the things that I've been teaching, so that when the prospects are coming through that funnel and the good ones are checking you out, like they see that you mean business.
I want to add in just this is like a 12-year perspective in watching Mike over more than a decade. And I know a lot of marketers, a lot of guys that have made multiple eight figures, a lot of guys that have consulted literally the biggest names, Oprah, you name it. I know a guy that did MTV's original website. And I share all this because I have never, ever seen Mike Klingler not, when he's excited and when his creative energy is allowed to complete and flourish and not also be rushed. And I know I see him at a point where he knows not to rush it, and he's cool. And he's explaining that he's always been transparent about this stuff. And I just want to say, watching that whole creative process, but then I wanted to add, because I know a lot of you, some of you are like, Mike's newer to you, and maybe you're newer to internet marketing and things. There's a lot of like funnel builders and people out there. They can go create something that I'm not going to go just suddenly start pouring time and money into, because there's a lot of testing and a lot of experience and wisdom behind creating successful marketing campaigns. And when you have, like, Mike's one of only, like, I'm not exaggerating. Yeah, I love Mike. He's a friend. He's a mentor. I love this guy. But I would say this behind every closed door. I'd say this if like Mike, like if we didn't have a relationship, that there is less than a handful of people in the world that I would trust to build funnels, that I'm like, I'm not doing anything with funnels. That's the level of trust I have in Mike. And I'm freaking great. I've spent tens of thousands on learning how to build funnels and marketing and everything else. I'm not touching that because we have one of the best in the world working on it right now. And I love, like Dean just said, you know, he knows it's going to be worth the wait. It is. And I'm not trying to hype this all up either. I just want to share that, like, there is a ridiculous amount of value in what is happening and what continues to happen. And part of that is the long term, like me hanging my hat here and my flag here, knowing what the next 3 to 6 to 12 months look like. That's really rare that I can trust somebody. Like, are we going to be cranking things over the coming months, much less like, oh man, look, he bailed out after a week. So Mike, I just wanted to share some of that and just say, I really love your persistence and your genius that goes into all this. And I love all this whole community as well. All you guys and gals, you're amazing. So just wanted to throw that perspective out there.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Jason. Yeah, I've been doing funnels for a long time. You know, one thing you guys will notice is most of my funnel work is not polished, you know, like your typical funnels would be. And just so you guys know, that's on purpose. I've always done really well with like what some might call transparency, authenticity. And the more you polish stuff up, like I found the further that I get away from like the core message being what drives the funnel. And the more pure that core message, the more effective I found it is. And you also tend to attract people that stay longer when you don't, I mean, the polish often is hype. It's a mirage. And when you attract people that are attracted to mirages, they don't tend to stick around. And so, you know, just know that everything's intentional. And sometimes we add polish. When I want polish on video, I bring Robin Lynn into it. You know, she can't help but be polished on video. But just understand that everything we do is intentional, and we've been doing it for a very, very long time. And in this particular market, I mean, man, it's been what, 18 years, even more than that. And I know it like the back of my hand, but yeah, it is a process. It's definitely a process. You can't just, well, you can, I could just create a lead capture page, a landing page, follow-up emails and everything and put it all together and go, here's your funnel. But no, that's not what's going to make it effective. I had to first enroll a lot of people myself in order to know what that funnel should be, if you're going to do it right, if you want to really do it right. And so, for example, let's give you guys a little bit of a tip on it, or a little bit of a teaser. It's, you know, you want to build automation into a funnel, but it also needs to be high touch. And a lot of people don't understand that piece. Funnels can't only be high tech. Now, if I were to build I might be going too far here, but I'll, you know, too much information. But if I were to build an affiliate program that just served me really well, maybe I trained people, but it didn't really like help people empower them financially. It just taught them a skill, you know, then I could automate the whole thing because it would be all about the information I'm sharing with them. But when you're talking about a funnel that you guys are going to use to be successful with attracting prospects to you, not just me, but to you, and then turn those into sales, you're going to need it to be high tech and high touch, or that's not going to happen. And that's why a lot of you who have bought funnels or bought into the idea of funnels and tried to apply them, and you tried to build too much automation into them, that would be why you didn't have success. Unless you're highly knowledgeable and highly experienced and you build all of that yourself into the funnel and the whole message is coming from you, that's the only time you can automate a whole funnel. But if you're going to use a funnel that I create for you or that anyone creates for you and be successful with it, it has to be high tech and high touch. And so I had to figure out, where do we make it high touch? Like, I don't want to use the phone. I don't know if you guys do, but I don't think that's very effective anymore. So where were we going to have that high touch? I had to like practice a bunch of ways of enrolling people to figure out what's the best way today to create a connection. So when people are reaching out to you, they've already seen all these presentations, they're already pre-sold, they're already knowledgeable and everything, and they're reaching out to you kind of ready to go. But where are they reaching out to you to? Are they reaching out to, are you calling you? I don't think you're going to be most of you won't be very effective if they're calling you. So where's it going to be? And so it's going to be in Facebook. It's going to be in Facebook Messenger. Those of you that want to use the advanced version, there'll still be automation there, because when they land in your Facebook Messenger, there'll be automated follow-up sequences, you know, with my audio message going out to them, all working for you still, even when they make it to that point. Those of you who don't want to spend the extra money to have that kind of automation, like paying for, it's called mini chat software that does that, or you don't want the complication or whatever, there'll be a simpler funnel for you when they land in there. You know, I'll tell you what to say next and what to do next. That's following exactly what I've been doing, you know, to enroll all these people. But yeah, there's been a lot of energy and testing and doing going into the funnel to lead up to this. I don't just throw them together, because we want to build something that's going to be really, really effective. Remember, I talked earlier about churning. Process is just churning in, attracting the right people and enrolling them in, and them duplicating, and those payment circles just filling up. When I build a funnel, that's what I'm putting together, is something that just churns for a very long time, just every day. It's just working. It does take some putting that together. We should see a prototype up in 10 days. Don't hold me to that. If if a video that I thought was going to take me an hour takes me 3 days, I'm going to let it take me 3 days. You know what I mean? But I'll keep you guys posted in the cash injection group. Okay, guys, one more question. Raise your hand and let us know where you're calling from, and fire away. We'll do one more question. Did we nail them all?
Got the trifecta, man.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, guys, that's a wrap. Thank you,
Great
Jason.
job, guys.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Jeremy.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Tony. And great seeing you again, Michael and Ian and Kim, everyone who asked questions. Thank you so much for your contributions. And we'll post the replay to this. We know it's a long one, but we knew it would be. Whenever you open it up to Q&A, it gets extra long. Covering the compensation plan this thoroughly, we knew it would be long. But now at least we have something to refer to, covering the entire compensation plan. All right, and lots more coming, guys. We're going to have, even before the marketing funnels are out, we're going to do a prospecting call where you can invite your prospects. We'll do an updated, presentation, and we're going to do some strategy sessions that just focus more on strategy, that show you different scenarios of when I enroll somebody at different levels, kind of answering Dean's question with a lot more thoroughness and examples. We'll be more prepared to do that. So lots more coming, but great to have you here and for us to be able to connect with you on this compensation plan today. All right, guys, have a good one.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Thank
Night, everybody.
Thanks, guys.